chapters 40 through 43 of the book of Ezekiel, from the World English Bible. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Mark Penfold. The book of Ezekiel, chapters 40 through 43, from the World English Bible. Chapter 40. In the 25th year of our captivity, in the beginning of the year, in the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after that the city was struck, in the same day, the hand of Yahweh was on me, and he brought me there. In the visions of God brought he me into the land of Israel, and set me down on a very high mountain, whereon was as it were the frame of a city on the south. He brought me there, and, behold, there was a man, whose appearance was like the appearance of brass, with a line of flax in his hand, and a measuring reed. And he stood in the gate. The man said to me, Son of man, see with your eyes, and hear with your ears, and set your heart on all that I shall show you. For, to the intent that I may show them to you, are you brought here. Declare all that you see to the house of Israel. Behold, a wall on the outside of the house all around, and in the man's hand a measuring reed 6 cubits long, of a cubit and a handbreadth each. So he measured the thickness of the building, 1 reed, and the height 1 reed. Then came he to the gate which looks toward the east, and went up its steps. And he measured the threshold of the gate, 1 reed broad, and the other threshold 1 reed broad. Every lodge was 1 reed long, and 1 reed broad. And the space between the lodges was 5 cubits. And the threshold of the gate by the porch of the gate toward the house was 1 reed. He measured also the porch of the gate toward the house, 1 reed. Then measured he the porch of the gate, 8 cubits, and its posts 2 cubits. And the porch of the gate was toward the house. The lodges of the gate eastward were 3 on this side, and 3 on that side. They 3 were of 1 measure. And the posts had 1 measure on this side, and on that side. He measured the breadth of the opening of the gate, 10 cubits, and the length of the gate, 13 cubits, and a border before the lodges, 1 cubit on this side, and a border 1 cubit on that side. And the lodges 6 cubits on this side, and 6 cubits on that side. He measured the gate from the roof of the one lodge to the roof of the other, a breadth of 25 cubits, door against door. He made also posts 60 cubits, and the court reached to the posts around the gate. From the forefront of the gate at the entrance to the forefront of the inner porch of the gate were 50 cubits. There were closed windows to the lodges, and to their posts within the gate all around, and likewise to the arches. And windows were around inward. And on each post were palm trees. Then brought he me into the outer court, and behold, there were chambers and a pavement made for the court all around. 30 chambers were on the pavement. The pavement was by the side of the gates, answerable to the length of the gates, even the lower pavement. Then he measured the breadth from the forefront of the lower gate to the forefront of the inner court outside, 100 cubits, both on the east and on the north. The gate of the outer court, whose prospect is toward the north, he measured its length and its breadth. The lodges of it were 3 on this side, and 3 on that side, and its posts and its arches were after the measure of the first gate. Its length was 50 cubits, and the breadth 25 cubits. The windows of it, and its arches, and the palm trees of it, were after the measure of the gate whose prospect is toward the east. And they went up to it by 7 steps, and its arches were before them. There was a gate to the inner court over against the other gate, both on the north and on the east. And he measured from gate to gate 100 cubits. He led me toward the south, and behold, a gate toward the south. And he measured its posts and its arches according to these measures. There were windows in it, and in its arches all around, like those windows. The length was 50 cubits, and the breadth 25 cubits. There were 7 steps to go up to it, and its arches were before them. And it had palm trees, one on this side, and another on that side, on its posts. There was a gate to the inner court toward the south, and he measured from gate to gate toward the south 100 cubits. Then he brought me to the inner court by the south gate, and he measured the south gate according to these measures, and its lodges, and its posts, and its arches according to these measures. And there were windows in it, and in its arches all around. It was 50 cubits long, and 25 cubits broad. There were arches all around, 25 cubits long, and 5 cubits broad. The arches of it were toward the outer court, and palm trees were on its posts. And the ascent to it had 8 steps. He brought me into the inner court toward the east, and he measured the gate according to these measures, and its lodges, and its posts, and its arches according to these measures. And there were windows therein, and in its arches all around. It was 50 cubits long, and 25 cubits broad. The arches of it were toward the outer court, and palm trees were on its posts, on this side and on that side. And the ascent to it had 8 steps. He brought me to the north gate, and he measured it according to these measures, its lodges, its posts, and its arches. And there were windows therein all around. The length was 50 cubits, and the breadth 25 cubits. The posts of it were toward the outer court, and palm trees were on its posts, on this side and on that side. And the ascent to it had 8 steps. A chamber with its door was by the posts at the gates. There they washed the burnt offering. In the porch of the gate were 2 tables on this side and 2 tables on that side, to kill thereon the burnt offering, and the sin offering, and the trespass offering. On the one side outside, as one goes up to the entry of the gate toward the north, were 2 tables, and on the other side, which belonged to the porch of the gate, were 2 tables. 4 tables were on this side, and 4 tables on that side, by the side of the gate. 8 tables whereupon they killed the sacrifices. There were 4 tables for the burnt offering of cut stone, 1.5 cubits long, and 1.5 cubits broad, and 1 cubit high, whereupon they laid the instruments with which they killed the burnt offering and the sacrifice. The hooks, 1 handbreadth long, were fastened within all around, and on the tables was the flesh of the offering. Outside of the inner gate were chambers for the singers in the inner court, which was at the side of the north gate, and their prospect was toward the south, one at the side of the east gate having the prospect toward the north. He said to me, "This chamber, whose prospect is toward the south, is for the priests, the keepers of the duty of the house, and the chamber whose prospect is toward the north is for the priests, the keepers of the duty of the altar. These are the sons of Zadok, who from among the sons of Levi come near to Yahweh to minister to him." He measured the court, 100 cubits long, and 100 cubits broad, foursquare. And the altar was before the house. Then he brought me to the porch of the house, and measured each post of the porch, 5 cubits on this side, and 5 cubits on that side. And the breadth of the gate was 3 cubits on this side, and 3 cubits on that side. The length of the porch was 20 cubits, and the breadth 11 cubits, even by the steps by which they went up to it. And there were pillars by the posts, one on this side, and another on that side. Chapter 41. He brought me to the temple, and measured the posts, 6 cubits broad on the one side, and 6 cubits broad on the other side, which was the breadth of the tent. The breadth of the entrance was 10 cubits, and the sides of the entrance were 5 cubits on the one side, and 5 cubits on the other side. And he measured its length, 40 cubits, and the breadth, 20 cubits. Then went he inward, and measured each post of the entrance, 2 cubits, and the entrance 6 cubits, and the breadth of the entrance 7 cubits. He measured its length, 20 cubits, and the breadth 20 cubits, before the temple. And he said to me, "This is the most holy place." Then he measured the wall of the house, 6 cubits, and the breadth of every side chamber 4 cubits, all around the house on every side. The side chambers were in 3 stories, one over another, and 30 in order. And they entered into the wall which belonged to the house for the side chambers all around, that they might have hold therein, and not have hold in the wall of the house. The side chambers were broader as they encompassed the house, higher and higher, for the encompassing of the house went higher and higher around the house. Therefore the breadth of the house continued upward. And so one went up from the lowest chamber to the highest by the middle chamber. I saw also that the house had a raised base all around. The foundations of the side chambers were a full reed of 6 great cubits. The thickness of the wall which was for the side chambers on the outside was 5 cubits, and that which was left was the place of the side chambers that belonged to the house. Between the chambers was a breadth of 20 cubits around the house on every side. The doors of the side chambers were toward the place that was left, one door toward the north, and another door toward the south. And the breadth of the place that was left was 5 cubits all around. The building that was before the separate place at the side toward the west was 70 cubits broad, and the wall of the building was 5 cubits thick all around, and its length 90 cubits. So he measured the house, 100 cubits long, and the separate place, and the building with its walls, 100 cubits long. Also the breadth of the face of the house, and of the separate place toward the east, 100 cubits. He measured the length of the building before the separate place which was at its back, and its galleries on the one side and on the other side, 100 cubits. And the inner temple, and the porches of the court, the thresholds and the closed windows, and the galleries around on their 3 stories, over against the threshold, with wood ceilings all around, and from the ground up to the windows (now the windows were covered), to the space above the door, even to the inner house, and outside, and by all the wall all around inside and outside, by measure. It was made with cherubim and palm trees. And a palm tree was between cherub and cherub, and every cherub had 2 faces, so that there was the face of a man toward the palm tree on the one side, and the face of a young lion toward the palm tree on the other side. Thus was it made through all the house all around. From the ground to above the door were cherubim and palm trees made. Thus was the wall of the temple. As for the temple, the doorposts were squared. And as for the face of the sanctuary, the appearance of it was as the appearance of the temple. The altar was of wood, 3 cubits high, and its length 2 cubits. And its corners, and its length, and its walls were of wood. And he said to me, "This is the table that is before Yahweh." The temple and the sanctuary had 2 doors. The doors had 2 leaves apiece, 2 turning leaves, 2 leaves for the one door, and 2 leaves for the other. There were made on them, on the doors of the temple, cherubim and palm trees, like as were made on the walls. And there was a threshold of wood on the face of the porch outside. There were closed windows and palm trees on the one side and on the other side, on the sides of the porch. Thus were the side chambers of the house and the thresholds. Chapter 42. Then he brought me forth into the outer court, the way toward the north. And he brought me into the chamber that was over against the separate place, and which was over against the building toward the north. Before the length of 100 cubits was the north door, and the breadth was 50 cubits. Over against the 20 cubits which belonged to the inner court, and over against the pavement which belonged to the outer court, was gallery against gallery in the third story. Before the chambers was a walk of 10 cubits breadth inward, a way of 1 cubit. And their doors were toward the north. Now the upper chambers were shorter, for the galleries took away from these, more than from the lower and the middle, in the building. For they were in 3 stories, and they didn't have pillars as the pillars of the courts. Therefore the uppermost was straitened more than the lowest and the middle from the ground. The wall that was outside by the side of the chambers, toward the outer court before the chambers, its length was 50 cubits. For the length of the chambers that were in the outer court was 50 cubits. And behold, before the temple were 100 cubits. From under these chambers was the entry on the east side, as one goes into them from the outer court. In the thickness of the wall of the court toward the east, before the separate place, and before the building, there were chambers. The way before them was like the appearance of the way of the chambers which were toward the north. According to their length, so was their breadth. And all their exits were both according to their fashions, and according to their doors. According to the doors of the chambers that were toward the south, was a door at the head of the way, even the way directly before the wall, toward the east, as one enters into them. Then said he to me, The north chambers and the south chambers, which are before the separate place, they are the holy chambers, where the priests who are near to Yahweh shall eat the most holy things. There shall they lay the most holy things, and the meal offering, and the sin offering, and the trespass offering, for the place is holy. When the priests enter in, then shall they not go out of the holy place into the outer court, but there they shall lay their garments in which they minister, for they are holy. And they shall put on other garments, and shall approach to that which pertains to the people. Now when he had made an end of measuring the inner house, he brought me forth by the way of the gate whose prospect is toward the east, and measured it all around. He measured on the east side with the measuring reed 500 reeds, with the measuring reed all around. He measured on the north side 500 reeds, with the measuring reed all around. He measured on the south side 500 reeds, with the measuring reed. He turned about to the west side, and measured 500 reeds with the measuring reed. He measured it on the 4 sides. It had a wall around it, the length 500, and the breadth 500, to make a separation between that which was holy and that which was common. Chapter 43. Afterward he brought me to the gate, even the gate that looks toward the east. Behold, the glory of the God of Israel came from the way of the east, and his voice was like the sound of many waters, and the earth shined with his glory. It was according to the appearance of the vision which I saw, even according to the vision that I saw when I came to destroy the city. And the visions were like the vision that I saw by the river Chebar, and I fell on my face. The glory of Yahweh came into the house by the way of the gate whose prospect is toward the east. The Spirit took me up, and brought me into the inner court. And behold, the glory of Yahweh filled the house. I heard one speaking to me out of the house, and a man stood by me. He said to me, Son of man, this is the place of my throne, and the place of the soles of my feet, where I will dwell in the midst of the children of Israel forever. The house of Israel shall no more defile my holy name, neither they nor their kings, by their prostitution, and by the dead bodies of their kings in their high places, in their setting of their threshold by my threshold, and their doorpost beside my doorpost. And there was but the wall between me and them, and they have defiled my holy name by their abominations which they have committed. Therefore I have consumed them in my anger. Now let them put away their prostitution, and the dead bodies of their kings far from me, and I will dwell in the midst of them forever. You, son of man, show the house to the house of Israel, that they may be ashamed of their iniquities, and let them measure the pattern. If they be ashamed of all that they have done, make known to them the form of the house, and its fashion, and its exits, and its entrances, and all its forms, and all its ordinances, and all its forms, and all its laws, and write it in their sight, that they may keep the whole form of it, and all its ordinances, and do them. This is the law of the house. On the top of the mountain, the whole limit around it, shall be most holy. Behold, this is the law of the house. These are the measures of the altar by cubits. The cubit is a cubit and a handbreadth. The bottom shall be a cubit, and the breadth a cubit, and its border around its edge a span. And this shall be the base of the altar. From the bottom on the ground to the lower ledge shall be 2 cubits, and the breadth 1 cubit. And from the lesser ledge to the greater ledge shall be 4 cubits, and the breadth a cubit. The upper altar shall be 4 cubits, and from the altar hearth and upward there shall be 4 horns. The altar hearth shall be 12 cubits long by 12 broad, square in the 4 sides of it. The ledge shall be 14 cubits long by 14 broad in the 4 sides of it. And the border about it shall be half a cubit, and its bottom shall be a cubit around, and its steps shall look toward the east. He said to me, Son of man, thus says the Lord Yahweh, these are the ordinances of the altar in the day when they shall make it, to offer burnt offerings thereon, and to sprinkle blood thereon. You shall give to the priests the Levites, who are of the seed of Zadok, who are near to me, to minister to me, says the Lord Yahweh, a young bull for a sin offering. You shall take of its blood, and put it on the 4 horns of it, and on the 4 corners of the ledge, and on the border all around. Thus you shall cleanse it, and make atonement for it. You shall also take the bull of the sin offering, and it shall be burnt in the appointed place of the house, outside of the sanctuary. On the 2nd day you shall offer a male goat without blemish for a sin offering, and they shall cleanse the altar as they did cleanse it with the bull. When you have made an end of cleansing it, you shall offer a young bull without blemish, and a ram out of the flock without blemish. You shall bring them near before Yahweh, and the priests shall cast salt on them, and they shall offer them up for a burnt offering to Yahweh. 7 days you shall prepare every day a goat for a sin offering. They shall also prepare a young bull, and a ram out of the flock without blemish. 7 days shall they make atonement for the altar and purify it. So shall they consecrate it. When they have accomplished the days, it shall be that on the 8th day and forward, the priests shall make your burnt offerings on the altar, and your peace offerings, and I will accept you, says the Lord Yahweh. The end of chapters 40 through 43 of the book of Ezekiel, from the World English Bible. Recording by Mark Penfold.